Who's the most badass person you've ever met? My grandmother looked like any other 78-year-old woman, silver hair, cardigans, always carrying butterscotch candies in her purse. But I learned the truth about her when I was 16 and 3 guys tried to mug us outside the grocery store. We were walking to her car when these teenagers surrounded us in the parking lot. The leader, maybe 19, demanded her purse and my wallet. I was terrified and ready to hand everything over, but my grandmother just stood there calmly. "Young man," she said in her sweet voice, "you don't want to do this." The kid laughed and stepped closer, saying something crude about old ladies who don't know when to shut up. That's when everything changed. In one fluid motion, my grandmother grabbed his wrist, twisted it behind his back, and had him face down on the pavement before I could blink. His 2 friends started forward, but she looked at them with eyes that suddenly seemed ice cold. "I suggest you help your friend up and walk away," she said, still in that same sweet tone. They did exactly that, apologizing as they helped their leader to his feet. He was holding his wrist and looking at my grandmother like she was some kind of alien. After they left, I stared at her in shock. "Grandma, what the hell was that?" She straightened her cardigan and picked up her purse like nothing had happened. "Language, dear. And that was just something I learned during the war." That night, I demanded the full story. Turns out my sweet grandmother had been a French resistance fighter during World War II. She'd been 17 when the Nazis occupied her village, and she'd spent 3 years sabotaging German operations, smuggling Allied soldiers to safety and gathering intelligence. She told me about the time she blew up a German supply train by posing as an innocent farm girl selling eggs to the soldiers. About the night she snuck into a Nazi headquarters and stole communication codes. About the day she killed 2 German officers with a kitchen knife to protect a Jewish family hiding in her barn. "The Americans trained some of us in hand-to-hand combat," she explained casually, like she was talking about learning to knit. "You never forget that kind of thing." She'd been captured once and tortured for information but never broke. I asked why she'd never told any of us about this. She shrugged and said it was a long time ago and I had a life to build after the war. "Your grandfather knew, but we decided it was better to focus on the future than dwell on the past." She showed me a box hidden in her closet that I'd never seen before. Inside were her resistance medals, photographs of her team, and letters from families she'd helped save. There was also a commendation from the French government and a personal note from Charles de Gaulle. 16 confirmed German casualties, she said matter-of-factly, reading from one of the documents. Though I think the number was higher. We didn't always keep perfect records when people were shooting at us. My grandmother had been living in our quiet suburban neighborhood for 40 years, baking cookies for school fundraisers and volunteering at the library. Meanwhile, she was one of the most decorated war heroes I'd ever heard of, and none of us had any idea. After that parking lot incident, I started seeing her differently. The way she always checked exits when entering restaurants, how she could tell when someone was lying just by watching their body language, the fact that she could fix any mechanical problem and always kept a knife collection in her kitchen. "You learn to be prepared," she said when I asked about the knives, "and you learn to trust your instincts about people." She'd been quietly protecting our family for decades, and we'd never realized it. 2 years later, when my cousin was being stalked by an ex-boyfriend, my grandmother had a conversation with him. I don't know what she said, but he moved to another state the next week and never contacted my cousin again. When she passed away at 85, the funeral was packed with people I'd never seen before. Elderly men and women who spoke with French accents, thanking our family for sharing her with the world. One old man told me, "Your grandmother saved my parents' lives in 9. She was the bravest person I ever knew. The most badass person I ever met. Spent 50 years disguised as a sweet old lady who just wanted to spoil her grandchildren. But underneath that gentle exterior was a woman who had faced down the Nazi war machine and won."